Hi viewers, another episode of Guest with Nazir. Today we are honored that we have special guest, personality of the week, Mr. Mohammad Ali, an entrepreneur, a businessman and a chair of Pakistan Muslim Center. Welcome in our show.
Thank you, Nazir.
Please tell our viewers about your early days and your education.
My early days when I came over into England, I believe it was around 1966, at the time when I came over to England itself. My early education was in Pakistan, very early years, and I was lucky to have gone through the junior school and the secondary school in Sheffield itself. All of my education has been here from there on, from college and the Polytechnic at the time.
So how old you were at that stage when you moved to this country?
It was just touching 9-year-old when we came. So it was really different, a lot of different memories from coming from a land many, many miles away, totally different to a new land. It was unbelievable.
So in which part of Pakistan you came to UK?
When we travelled and left from Pakistan, it was the city of Lahore, which is very busy, very vibrant, and then to come over to Sheffield, which is the largest or fourth largest city in Britain itself. So there was some similarities.
So do you have any memories of your childhood in Pakistan?
I do. I remember very clearly at a young tender age, at the time living in the hustle bustle of Lahore, the bazaars, the streets, and the neighbourhood what we lived there. It was very friendly, and everybody had open door policies. You'd just walk into anybody's house, nobody really mattered, and people were so warm and welcoming, and the schooling, the discipline there. It was unbelievable.
Do you miss those fruit charts and samosas and all these things?
You certainly do. I think the taste still lingers in your mouth even today of Lahore. The food of Lahore is renowned throughout the world itself, and it's usually said in the Pakistani Asian community, if anybody hasn't been to Lahore, they haven't been anywhere.
Sheffield is also known as a steel city. So please share your thoughts and memories, because you have seen this steel industry on the boom. So how it was, if our viewers could see that through your vision?
If you look into the early 60s, early 70s, there was a really, really big boom. The steel industry was tremendous here in the region of Hattercliff area predominantly. And people used to work here really, really long hours, up to 16 hours. And I remember many a time visiting our close relatives where there was in large numbers people living together and working from shift to shift. But the whole of area, it was a lot of smoke around. As a childhood, I remember, and the smokes in the area of Hattercliff were really, really prevalent. But it employed a lot of people. There wasn't people who were unemployed. And during that period itself, people used to walk out of a job, and by the second day, there was in employment.
So how was the process at that time, and how you compare it to today's process of the job seeking and all these things?
It's terribly different, I think, at the time, because there was shortage of labour. So people were sort of looking for people who would come in. And that was one of the reasons why there was a big influx from the South Asia at the time to boost the industry in this region, in Britain itself. Due to the World War itself, there was a lot of lives what were lost. And that one of the reasons why the doors was open for migration at the time. And believe me, it helped and built this country. The sweat and of those people, whether they were from Afro-Caribbeans, from Jamaica, whether it was from Pakistan, India, those people really, really worked hard, many of ours, to make this economy stronger as it is now.
So when you completed your education, you did graduation, or what degree you have completed at that time?
I didn't. And I went on I was really keen on doing law itself. Unfortunately, we had some tragedies. I lost my father at an early age. He was 19. I was around 20 years at the time. And I think there wasn't really anybody who was able to guide us through at the time what we wanted to do. But because we sort of came from a little bit of a business background at the time, and I had the opportunity straight away into going into a convenience store. So we set up a business from early days, a convenience store, and it was a thriving business.
So in terms of the Asian population, so what was the main area of Sheffield which was occupied by the Asian population
The
at that time?
predominantly the area, the hub of for the Asian Pakistani community was Attercliffe area. A whole of the area, it was like a small town in itself. Nazir, if you walk down the Attercliffe Road, there was shops and hustle and bustle throughout, and there's some fantastic memories. I mean, if one of them, if you let me share, in the 60s there was no inside toilet in many houses. It was outside toilets, and the bathrooms. It was very, very privileged that if you had a bathroom, and it was old tin baths what people used to use. But in Attercliffe, on opposite Brompton Road, on Attercliffe, there was a wash area what people used to go over a weekly period, whether it's twice a week or something, and people used to queue up and have a shower bath and that, because of the dust and the smoke at the time was tremendous.
And if we will say that that time was a very difficult time, and if we compare today's age, how you see both the times?
It was a difficult time at the time because it was a new country, new area, and I think what was felt at the time was when parents came over that we will come, we'll work here and prosper, and probably we'll go back to our own country where we came from and settle back there. But that doesn't happen in migration. If you see across the world itself, a lot of people, they move from one city, one town, one country, and by the time they've settled there for 12 years or so, that becomes their home. And I think that is the key, what we really need to be looking at, because the communities what came in early 60s, 70s, they have third generations here now. So reality is, which is our home? That is the key question. And I've known, Nazir, that people have gone over to Pakistan and India and Bangladesh, and once they've hit bad times, or whether it's been ill health or something, and the word comes out, I want to go back home, and that back home is Sheffield.
So what challenges you have faced when we talk about the integration and going into the deep down of the society? So what challenges you have faced?
The challenges I see and face in very early days, it was because there was a lot of work around. So if your minds are occupied in your work and school education, then you don't have time to mess around on the streets. Social disorders are much less in that way. But the challenges at that time was few people were here, so the love and affection was a lot more. Your cohesion amongst your own people was a lot more. Once you settle and you've gone through the schooling itself and your universities and polytechnics and colleges, you meet and grow with different people, different friends, and they become your very close friends itself. So therefore, you understand people a lot more. And I think the important thing is the more you reach out, the more you talk, the more you share your time with other people, value you a lot more. If you work in isolation, I think the challenges are far greater because nobody will take time out to see what you're doing. You've got to take them initial steps, and it is yourself, whichever country you come from, you are the ambassador of that country, and those people will remember you as how you sort of come across with them.
So when we compare two decades, 60s, 70s, and these decades as the present time, so in education facilities, do you see any improvement, or that time was better? So which time you see is better?
I think it's a challenge, education in every era, there's no doubt. Because, as I mentioned, third generation itself, you're able to relate to a lot more education now than what you did at the time. Because if you straight away drop into a job and then you think, well, maybe I'm earning money, does it really matter? But if you know that you've got to be prepared for tomorrow and what the challenges are, so therefore you will educate a lot further. And tomorrow belongs to those who sort of educate today.
And at the moment, there is a lack of facilities for the young people. If we talk about the history, there was youth clubs, there was fundings. So at the present age, what challenges are faced by younger generation, especially I'm talking about the youngsters at this stage?
There was a lot of physical activity at the time. The computer games weren't around as much. You know, the PlayStations weren't known of at the time. So therefore, to keep yourself occupied, you'd be going to youth clubs and making friends, etc. With time, things change, and I think you've got to really understand that these things are here. But it doesn't mean that you still need to sit down and not manage your time. What you need to be doing a lot of physical education, whether it's taking up sports or whether it's going out and meeting friends, socialising, etc., and whether it's just a stroll down to the park. These are important for your health itself. But if you engage in activities which are going to cause harm to others, then you need to look at yourself, because obviously you're going to be targeted, and the agencies, whether it's the police, etc., they will be looking at the disorders what you're doing. And the key again here, Nazir, is it's your own neighbourhood, your own house, your own society. It is you who's going to make it better. You know, don't rely on others to do it. You've got to pull your weight and make it work.
Now we'll move forward towards your main role at the moment in PMC, Pakistan Muslim Centre. So in which year you become the chair of the Pakistan Muslim Centre?
I became the chair of Pakistan Muslim Centre. It was in 2000. And the centre's been around for 25 years now. So I've had the privilege and honour of serving the community for the last nearly 15 years or so.
So at that time, the building was owned by the centre itself, or it was lease?
There was no leases on this building itself. We was given this building in early 1995, 1989 at the time, and there was a goodwill to say that you will be given a peppercorn rent and a long lease over that. Sometime you've got to stand up and prove whether you're able to manage these organisations yourself or not, because there's a lot of money which are being ploughed into this organisation itself, and it's a charity. So it, like all organisations, it had a peak when it was the largest ethnic minority voluntary sector organisation, BME, in whole of Europe. And then it run through a period when it just started hitting difficult times. But I'm really fortunate, and I think we've had a very good board of directors along with us, that we took some bold steps, and one of them is to achieve of having a lease for 25 years. Once we achieved that, I think our goal was to buy this a freehold, and today we own the site, the whole of the PMC site. We are the owners of that.
And what activities you offer there for the community and for the youngsters?
There's a lot of activities. We work in different sections. The low buildings, what we have at this moment, we're looking at trying to get a training centre back on running, because at this moment in time, with the Job Centre Plus itself, because people who are unemployed, they need to be retrained, etc. So these are big opportunities which are there. We have the Healthy Lifestyle Project, which helps the older generation to keep active itself. The sewing sessions and classes, what we run from there, are phenomenal. We serve the community by having the consulate for the last 12 years. We've been issuing visas for Pakistan and the international cards for the Pakistani community itself, and advice service. So I can just go on and on.
So what is the vision? Because I know there's a lot of activities. So what is your future vision about this centre? How you want to see in next 5 years?
Right. What I certainly feel what we need to be doing, and this is something what the work's already started. We've been working with Interserve, and those people who have been coming on a work programme, a mandatory work programme at the centres. And I'm really, I feel honoured, and I think we're very, very lucky that most of the people who come on a 4-week work placement with us, they choose to stay here with us, doing voluntary work itself. And I think the vision for the centre is working in a cohesive society where you're bringing all the communities together and let them feel that the only way for us to survive and get to know each other is value each other's cultural values, their religious values, and work together. And that gives a lot of respect for people who have probably never met the Asian community in different forms at all. The education program, we've had the Ethnic Minority Achievement Project, which we sort of selected children who wasn't really doing too well, And I'm really proud to say that most of the children who went through the programs of giving them tuitions, etc., have ended up in universities and are professionals in secured jobs today.
Because your center is going to join now Media World, so what's about your radio project and how it is going to start, and what is your vision about that?
We've been really fortunate that the last round from the Ofcom, what was announced about the radios itself, we was fortunate, one of them, to be able to were granted the radio station itself. The Iman FM that was granted, that's up and running, and will be up and running in the next few months or so. It's a 5-year license, just like Sheffield Live, there was granted here at the time. But it gives you, again, opportunity to engage a lot more people, talk to a lot more people, give programs out, and hold people who are able to give a vision, and those people who are able to direct. And there's so much wealth of talent out there. It's about bringing everybody together, whether it's the faith leaders, whether it's the South Yorkshire Police, whether it's the National Health. Everybody and professionals need to work together. And that is what's going to make it a really, really strong society and working towards a cohesive society.
So what is your message for our viewers? Because a lot of our viewers are watching you today in our studio. So what is your message for our viewers?
2 messages, what I'm going to leave today. One of the messages is let us learn to know our neighbour, which is important. Let us reach out. Let us find people what their strengths are, rather than looking for their weaknesses. Let us not sort of marginalise communities and say, look, you know, the Muslim community are doing this, or something happens, you don't always tarnish one community. There are bad apples in every society, every community, and we need to weed them people out, but also work very strongly together. My second message would be, love your family, love your friends. Sometimes it's very important in the works what we do, we forget our loved ones. It's better to give a rose for the ones who are living than a wreath for those who are dead.
Thank you very much. Viewers, I hope you have enjoyed today's episode. In coming days, we'll come with more personalities, more views, and more shows. Keep watching Sheffield Live TV.